People want proof that there's more than 7 years. I'm going to give it to you. All the views think that everything happened in 7 years. That's their problem. They got the wrath of God happening during the reign of the Antichrist. You can't be reigning if you got God's wrath coming down on your head, because one of the plagues is poured out on the earth, is poured out on the Antichrist kingdom. So how can he be reigning or in control of the nations for the entire last 3.5 years, but yet God's wrath is being poured out at the same time? Not only that, do people believe that God's wrath is poured out during the last 3.5 years of the 7-year period? They believe that the two witnesses who can strike the earth as often as they will with all manner of plagues, they believe that their 3.5-year ministry is also taking place during Antichrist's reign. So how are the two witnesses being able to smite the earth with plagues as often as they want and kill anybody that comes against them? How can their ministry be going on at the same time that the Antichrist is supposed to be in control of all the nations of the earth, or have people in every kindred, tongue, and nation on earth doing his will all around the earth, when the two witnesses are here smiting the earth and would dare say the Antichrist kingdom also with plagues as often as they will? You can't be reigning if you're being scrubbed. That's just all it is to it. It's just like the champ getting a boxing champ, getting in the ring with the number one contender. And the number one contender is scrubbing you, having the best or the mastery of the champ. Can you honestly say the champ is in control? The champ is in charge of the fight? Now people are like, whoa, if he don't straighten up, if he don't do something to turn this thing around, he's going to lose this fight, right? Same thing. If you got the Antichrist, you got the two witnesses and the wrath of God going on at the same time on the earth, who you think is winning this fight? The Lord is, right? Not the Antichrist. But Jesus said he gave the rule to the Antichrist. So let me show you where they mess up. There's a time period of that wrath, those trumpets and those bowls, they do not happen during the 7 years. They happen after the 7 years. And I'm going to give you numbers to put you outside the 7-year period by almost 3 years, 2.5 years at least by this reading, right? So I'm in Daniel chapter 8, and I'm going to start at Daniel chapter 8 and verse 11. And it says, yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. That's the Antichrist, of the man of sin that's to come, right? He says, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. That's the Antichrist. And the place of his sanctuary was cast down. The Lord's sanctuary was cast down, right, by the Antichrist. Verse 12 of Daniel chapter 8. It says, and the host was given him against the daily sacrifice. That's the armies were given to the Antichrist to come down from the north and take Jerusalem and stop the daily sacrifices in the temple at the midpoint of 7 years. He says, by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Right? Verse 13, Daniel chapter 8. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long, listen to this, how long shall the vision be concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host, which is the Jewish people, right, to be trodden underfoot? How long would this trodding of the sanctuary, transgression of the sanctuary, abomination, and the trodding of the Jewish people under his feet, how long would this happen? He says in verse 14, right, of Daniel chapter 8, and he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. So from the time the abomination that make it desolate happens, and the daily sacrifice is taken away, that happens at the midpoint of the 7 years, that will be 2,300 days. Now, we know that the Antichrist reign is only 1,260 days of that 2,300 days. But the sanctuary cannot be cleansed at the last day of the Antichrist reign. It must be cleansed 2,300 days later from the midpoint of the 7 years. Now, why am I stressing this? Because many people believe that Jesus comes to the earth at the end of the 7 years to begin his millennial reign on the earth. At the end of the 7 years, Jesus will come to the earth to stay and begin, his millennial reign on the earth. Now think about it, because I show you in my teachings on the book of Revelation, I'm going to give you that title so you go look it up, that when Jesus comes at the end of the 7 years to get the church, he doesn't stay. He doesn't gather the church up in the air to him in the clouds and turn around and come right back down to the earth. He gathers the church out of the earth in the clouds with him, and he takes them back to heaven. Why? Because if Jesus came at the end of the 7 years to his sanctuary, according to Ezekiel chapter 43, verses 1 through 8, he will come through that gate that faces towards the east. He will enter onto the Temple Mount, and he will say, here is the place of my throne. Here will I establish my throne forever. On the Temple Mount, if Jesus comes to earth to stay, do you think that he will leave his sanctuary unclean for another, 2,300 minus 1,260? How did I do that wrong? Do you think the Lord, I'm going to do this back again, 300, where is it? Yeah, minus 1,260 days. Do you think he will leave his sanctuary uncleansed for another 1,040 days? 1,040 days. And if it was 1,260 days, it would be another 3 years exactly before Christ would cleanse the sanctuary. But it says 2,300 days, and then it will be cleansed. So you think that Jesus, if he came to earth at the end of the Antichrist reign, which is 1,260 days, if he came to earth to stay on the earth and begin his millennial reign at the end of the 7 years, do you think that Jesus would leave his sanctuary unclean for almost another 3 years? Not going to happen. When Jesus comes to the earth, he's going to go through to stay. He's going to go through that gate that faces towards the east. He's going to proclaim this as the place of his throne. He's going to establish the Temple Mount as the place of his throne forever in Jerusalem, right? And then he begins his millennial reign. He will not leave the sanctuary unclean for almost another 3 years after he comes to the earth. Now, I show in my teachings on the book of Revelation on YouTube, and you can look up under my name too, William Verdell. You see my videos. I got other videos. But I have 5 videos on the book of Revelation. I show you what they're not showing you. I show you proof that the trumpets, which are the wrath of the Lamb, and I explain that to you, and the bowls of vials, which are the wrath of God, right? I prove to you in 2 different places in the book of Revelation, also in Jeremiah 25 and Daniel chapter 9, that the wrath of God, those trumpets, the wrath of God, the bowls or the vials, and the wrath of the Lamb, those trumpets, do not happen during the 7 years. They happen after the 7-year period is over for a minimum of 3 years and 11 months longer than the 7-year period, based upon just 2 of the trumpets. The first 4 trumpets give you no timeline. The last trumpet gives you no timeline how long those events last. But the 5th trumpet lasts for 5 months, and the 2 witnesses ministry that starts at the sounding of the 6th trumpet lasts for 3 years and 6 months. Combining those 2 trumpets together, you have at least 3 years and 11 months longer of wrath that does not happen during the 7 years. See, Satan's wrath happens during the 7 years. The last 3.5 years is Satan's wrath on the earth, right? That's why I said in Revelation chapter 12, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, for the devil has come down unto you, knowing that he has but a short time. He persecutes the woman who brought forth the man-child, which is Israel. He starts with Israel, right? And Jesus gives him control of the earth for 3.5 years. That's Satan's wrath. That's not God's wrath. The Lamb's wrath, which is the trumpets, and God's wrath, which is the bowls and vials, happen after the 7-year period is over. Go watch my videos. Here's the title. PT1, the pre-wrath rapture, and the third coming of Jesus. PT2, PT3, PT4, PT5, the pre-wrath rapture, and the third coming of Jesus. Go watch the videos on YouTube under that title, the letter P, the letter T, the number 1, not O-N-E, the number 1, the pre-wrath rapture, and the third coming of Jesus. PT1, the pre-wrath rapture, and third coming of Jesus. I cover all the views. pre-trib view, mid-trib, post-trib, pre-wrath, and then I cover my view. And I use all the scriptures that they use to support their view. And I show you biblically who is closest to being right. And I show you how pre-trib tells you the scriptures say this. But when you actually read it, it doesn't. It's just like Samson and Delilah. If you believe that Delilah cut Samson's hair, you're wrong. You can go to Judges chapter 16 and verse 19, and you will see that she caused Samson to fall asleep on her lap. And while he slept on her lap, a man came in, not shears, but scissors, and cut Samson's hair while he slept on Delilah's lap. Delilah did not cut Samson's hair. A man did. Go check it out. So if you're astonished by that revelation, you will be awed by the revelations that I share in the book of Revelation. Go watch the videos and then share them with somebody else. Let them know the truth, because this coming September 2023, if they confirm this peace treaty, guess what? We're in the 7 years, and everybody's going to be searching for the truth, and it won't be looking for pre-trib. God bless you. Bye-bye. This is Brother Bill, pastor of Winds of Change Ministries down here in Ozark, Crazo, Alabama. God bless you, and bye-bye.